then the authors go on to say, the currency is power, but the language is morality. There's also, so I think, as you can sort of see here, all these things I just mentioned are presented as we're doing this for the public interest, when in reality, no, there are selfish motivations. So there's also some evidence that sociopaths are overrepresented among politicians. I've seen a study myself that, well, I've seen a study that is as addictive as cocaine. That's why people are willing to kill, lie, steal, all of this, because they want that fix, as it were. That was from, I think, NBC. I can find that article for you. And when special interest groups push for changes, it's on moral grounds. But then we should be asking the questions of, if they get their way, who pays for it, and who does it benefit? I think of when I was at CIA, they would try and get more money out of us. Like, one of the things that the president of the CIA always got blasted for was that in the speech at graduation, he would always ask for more money. And it's like, after we paid how much to go there. But of course, he didn't phrase it as give me more money. He phrased it as things like, oh, if you want to help fund a student's education in the future, or things like that. I remember shortly before graduation, there was a woman who said something to us like this, like, now if in the future you decide you want to help a assistant in getting an education, well, here's what you can do. And one of my friends was just like, no, I'd rather buy the Ferrari or something like that. So again, it goes to this recurring theme that you sort of touched on, that people think that academics are this like sacred class of people that somehow put self-interest aside, and we care about students, we care about education, we care about the future. No, they're self-interested, same as anyone else. And as I'll get into in the next section, it may not be that they're actively being evil. Like, they don't see themselves as, oh, we're screwing the public. They may genuinely think we're doing the right thing, or we're helping these people. But that gets into how the brain sort of hides those evil motives. Well, not evil motives, but selfish motives from us. Sure. Any thoughts or comments on that?
You have to look into how are some of these things measured, because there definitely are things that these things are doing that are successful. In general, if something becomes more overtly negative than it is positive, people normally stop doing it. But even in general, it just can't maintain itself for long enough. Even if people don't notice it's doing more harm, it'll just find a way to whittle itself out of existence. This is just a common thing that happens with organisms and the systems, the social constructs that the human organism has created. It also, they work on the same rules that define us as life forms. So some things will just eventually just go away. So when you're looking at something with the first thing you'd mentioned was with the accident reporting 500 out of billions, but do they, in something like that, even if you have those figures and if you were to subscribe to the whole one accident is too much, which I don't really subscribe to, being more realistic with these things, do they figure in how many accidents would have occurred if these people were actually driving on their own? Because it's not like they would stop needing to actually be in a vehicle to get to one location to the other. So you could get to a situation where it's, even if you have those 500 out and you say, okay, we're going to save the 500 by ending the 1 billion a day done by Lyft and done by these people, then that means those people who were in those 1 billion rides would still be on the road. And then that might actually be 5,000 accidents. We don't know this. So that's something to kind of think about when you think about some of the figures in those things. And again, with this one, they might actually go into studies to actually talk about that. With the thing with the voting is voting caring? I guess this video is probably going to come out after it's definitely going to be posted after the election has been done. But these ongoing memes about every time you post something that even has something close to do with the election, it'll come up with and have a notification. I saw somebody actually post a meme talking about how it's a clip from Super Troopers, the movie. It was that comedy movie by Broken Lizard. And there was a scene where the cops are making fun of them. Like they drive by them and they pull over, and then they drive by. Like, people get freaked out. They know that they've taken some drugs, and the guy is looking back. He's like, "I'm pulled over. I can't pull over any further. I'm already pulled over." So he has the guy saying, "Like, I'm already registered to vote. I can't register anymore.
Yeah.
I can't register any further." And then with that meme, there was a notification by Facebook saying, "Click here for voting notification," because the thing is it's so obtrusive, it's so everywhere. They're just pushing it on you. And as you said, it is because they think more voters would support them. I don't know why they think that. Certain people do have certain beliefs in that kind of system, when you say that, I also was wondering if Facebook understands higher voter participation is a positive thing for the United States of America, for people, will they now keep doing this for elections all over the world in other countries? Let's say there's an election coming up in Hong Kong. They have those things where they can regionally target you. Like the ads I get, I'm not getting adverts from the United States of America. I'm getting adverts targeted in Kenya. But if I'm clicking an article that has something to do from the United States of America, it's still telling me about registering to vote. Although I do have my location I might have my residence actually as still with Manhattan, which is my last residence. I don't know. No, I think it's Nairobi. But regardless, it's still in there. That's actually still being done. So I'm wondering, why won't they actually continue this practice of pushing out voting all over the world, in China, in African countries, in Cuba, in other places where they might not be as conducive a voting environment, to say the least. I don't know if that's going to be a new thing that they actually have. What else had you mentioned? You mentioned the rent seeking with the big farming. Yeah, that's a common thing that happens. And my surprise is, as we mentioned before in the previous talks, there's some schools where it's just simply going to a certain school and having that degree with that school on there gets people to hire you. They don't really care about what you actually studied. Oh, this person has a GPA of this from this institution. That means we're going to give them this job. They don't look in to actually see how well you scored in other courses or what you did in this, what was the actual content of the thing. Just that name alone gives it higher points. Now, in the inverse, with this kind of big pharma type of things, there's certain practices that are done by public schools that if somebody hears this thing, oh, without realizing this is something done by public school, this is something done by a public school union. If you told them it was a private school, they'd be like, oh, that's bad because it's private school. It's for profit. Oh, that's bad if a company did this. But if you just tell them, no, that was actually done by public sector, all of a sudden it's, it's for the people. It's okay. Yeah. So that whole idea of using certain language, how it covers up for the self-interest, that's something that I think is important. Thank you for listening. This has been a clip from an actual longer recording that I'll try to leave a link to on the screen or somewhere around here where you're listening to this.
Presents. 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 Presents.
Peasants.
Okay. Okay.